Weekly women's lacrosse media Zoom featuring head coach Cindy Timchal. As usual, we will start off with everyone getting 3 questions, and then we will continue to circle around until everyone's questions are answered. Tim Nolan, let's start with you today.
Coach, I'm lucky enough to be calling the game again tomorrow with Joe against Loyola. So, but my first question is, uh, what do you want to see most from that game?
Well, again, it's an amazing opportunity for us to play one of our, top, conference rival team in Loyola here at home. So, yeah, we like to see, a really great game. I mean, we're excited to play Loyola. I'm sure they're excited to play us. And being in Navy Marine Corps Stadium and having CBS, do the special production for us tomorrow. It's just exciting for all of us, for the Naval Academy, for the NAAA, and for Navy Women's Lacrosse.
And just a follow up to that, obviously Alyssa, another Patriot League Rookie of the Week honor. What has impressed you? Just the way that she's been able to conduct herself as a freshman and take over this conference.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, I mean, Alyssa, brings a lot of, wonderful qualities that you need in an attack player. She has tremendous finishing abilities, ability to, read defenses, lacks IQ. She's only had, a handful of games at the collegiate level. And so, just what makes her special is she loves the game of lacrosse. She takes a lot of shots, which helps with her shooting percentage, and she works well with the team. Blending a new player into our offense is always exciting.
And then a player specific question, the defensive side. I know the last game I got to see firsthand in person was the High Point one, and Grace Peterson's slides in that game were impeccable. And just what I've watched since then, she seems to be a real stalwart defensively. I mean, she can move from one attack to the next and does so seamlessly. How much of a weapon is that for your unit back there, and just the way that she gets the whole defense organized?
Yeah, she's a vocal leader. She's one of, she's really for, our defensive captain to lead this defense. Tremendous amount of intensity, tremendous amount of, love and, devotion to lacrosse. Um, yeah, I mean, she loves team defense. She loves clearing the ball. So having someone like Grace in there, whether it's against High Point or Colgate up at Bucknell on last Saturday, she plays with intensity. She leads by example, and she commands a presence on the defensive end.
Thank
So
you.
Cindy, talk about Loyola. They're 6-5, but all of their losses are to ranked opponents, non-conference, obviously. What are you seeing out of Loyola?
The just Loyola has that same, competitive mentality, led by a couple of really strong seniors in Chase Boyle and Georgia Latch. They bring experience in the gold cage with Spencer. Um, you know, you just have key players in the positions you want to have them in. They have always, scheduled with RPI in mind and have been, normally relatively successful. I mean, whether it's a game against Syracuse, you know, that could have gone either way. They play Florida like we did. Um, so, it's not reflective, losing those games. I know they get hungry and improve more when they're in the conference. They certainly had a great game against Colgate this past weekend. So, um, they just bring what they usually have brought in the past. Chase Boyle came from New Jersey, from a high school where she led, the state of New Jersey in draw controls and has continued that, to excel not only for Loyola, but in the country as one of the top draw players in the country.
The Navy's the only team that's ever beaten Loyola, the only Patriot League team that's ever beaten Loyola. So you know what it takes. You know the formula.
Yeah.
What is required to beat a team like Loyola?
It's a 4-quarter game. Just the highs can't be too high, the lows too low. Whether we're down by 10 or up by 10, you just have to play with that same level of intensity throughout. I mean, you just kind of have to earn that game. And what will it take? It takes a total team effort. It takes an extraordinary belief in one another and what we've been doing, and just be a real gritty game and just continue to play through no matter, our reflection of how hard we're going to play shouldn't be dictated by what the score is on the scoreboard. It should be dictated or, controlled by the things that, we bring to the field, which would be a lot of intensity, a lot of pressure, and a commitment on both ends of the ball, to play with that intensity, limit some turnovers, try to play as clean as possible. It'll be a great game. And the neatest thing about our rivalry, it's the ultimate in-state rivalry. Loyola's right here in the state of Maryland, so it's Maryland versus Maryland, Annapolis versus Baltimore, Loyola versus Navy. So it's kind of cool.
So can you kind of talk about the stakes? I mean, I have never covered a Patriot League championship anywhere but at Ridley Athletic Complex. Getting old. I'd like to cover one at Navy Marine Corps Memorial.
Yeah.
Wags, we've hosted before,
Yeah.
just pre-Loyola.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, you were there. Trust me.
I was there. I remember
Thanks,
going
Scott.
to American. Navy's first Patriot League tournament game ever was at American, wasn't it? Way
Yes,
back?
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I remember
was,
that. I went up that.
That
Well-
was exciting. I know Czech got to the game. Yeah, that was good. We were young. It was our first year. We got the first year in the conference. We got to the top 4 and it was kind of cool because it was close by. It was at American.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, our conference regular season, champ gets that honor of hosting. So yes, definitely it is an opportunity. It's hard to think beyond just, what is, like in our critical path is having a great, training session today, pre-game for, tomorrow, and, be ready when the whistle blows, be ready to play.
Thanks.
Scott,
Thank
do you have anything?
Yeah, Cindy, I'll ask you one.
Yeah.
Last year's Patriot League championship game was one of the best women's lacrosse games I've ever seen. Can you, obviously it ended in heartbreak and overtime. Both teams played at an elite level. Can you take anything from that game into tomorrow's game, or is it completely different because it is two different teams?
No, Scott, that's great. We always think about that game. And a lot of people reflect on, well, the past is a past, and this is, we are looking, our future isn't in front of us. But it was a heartbreaker for us. We put it on the line. We felt we tried to do everything we could possibly do, and that level of intensity is required at this level. If you witnessed, whether it's Boston College this past weekend or Northwestern, I pick out some of the top programs in the top 5. You have to bring that level of intensity, and that's why it makes our game so special. That level of play, although heartbreaking for us, is a real true indication of what we are capable here in the Patriot League and what Navy Women's Lacrosse is capable of. So I appreciate the comment. Always want to be on the other side of that. However, we'll see. That's what we strive for. We strive for excellence. We strive to be as well prepared as possible. Sometimes you have, it's kind of the adage where you expect nothing, but we be ready for anything. So I think there's, moment to moment adjustments that may or may not. We don't know exactly this year how we match up with Loyola. We figured out a little bit better after the first game that we had this moment and a chance in the championship game. This year, we have some tendencies. We've seen how we matched up against certain players. They come with a couple new kind of shining stars, and so do we. But it's really at the end of the day, us believing in ourselves, going out and playing with all of our heart, and trusting in that part of it. And we'll see, when the whistle blows at the end, where we stand. Many games ahead of us, so it's kind of an exciting season right now, and maybe the best part because it's beautiful and sunny today.
Do you wish that this game though was on a Saturday just to help
Oh,
from
100%.
a crowd standpoint?
Yeah. And Scott, I'm glad you brought it up. It's a signature game. It it's the game that needs to be a standalone game in our conference. And we find ourselves in this little bit of a conundrum. We have 10 teams in our conference, which is amazing. We need to figure out how to manage that and also be able to get in the Virginias, the Dukes, the Floridas or whatever, and to keep our RPI high. But yeah, I mean, a standalone game on a Saturday would be ideal to get all the, what draws between Anne Arundel County and Annapolis and the Baltimore area. And that's where a lot of the hotbed of girls lacrosse, to get the fan base, to get the people out to the stadium. And we just trust that they'll be there tomorrow night. But in the future, we're going to, make sure that that is taken care of. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, circling back around, Tim Nolan, any more questions?
Yeah, Coach, you referenced that Virginia game as kind of a sign to send shockwaves to the rest of the country
Yeah.
that, Navy lacrosse means business and this is where we belong. Do you view tomorrow's game as a similar opportunity?
Yeah, it is an opportunity. And we just see it as yeah, we know how we can, compete all the way through. I know we always refer to this time when I'm on a Zoom about March Madness, and you've witnessed that on the men's and women's side. Crazy things happen during this time, and I think it can happen in women's lacrosse. But this is another opportunity for Navy women's lacrosse step out on the field and see how we match up against, the conference, leader in with regard to their level of success in our conference. So exciting time, exciting for us. Yeah, we're
As
ready.
you've gotten a couple games in the Patriot League play here, what has been the biggest aspect that you think non-con play prepared you for? Because I mean, the scoring's been there. You played really sound defense, but anything in particular?
It's certainly the level of commitment. We went down to Florida. It was an amazing experience, and the head coach and I, we won our first national championship together. She was Mandy O'Leary was my assistant at Maryland. But it's a true on commitment for the players that excel and aspire to be the top of the top. We went toe to toe. They were a Final Four team last year and playing really strong. Knock off Clemson last week. Virginia was the same. Virginia was way high in the polls last year. Played really high level lacrosse. Beat Carolina. So I feel like learning from that experience is just that level of intensity throughout the entire game. Not taking any, just full out intensity for 60 minutes or more. And that's what you learn from playing at those higher level, teams that have competed at the highest level. Again, like Syracuse has been at the Final Four a couple times, like at least three in the last 4 years. So it's exciting for us to gain that experience and have that opportunity, and for people to see how Navy women's lacrosse stacks up against the University of Florida, the University of Virginia, and these marquee, historically, I mean, Florida hasn't won a national title, Virginia has. So it's just exciting to beat a team that has won national titles in the past.
and to have an entire group of ladies, freshmen through seniors who they never been Loyola before. How do you do you get a pulse of the room and just get a chance to see their mindset going into a game like this and just how they're dealing with some of the emotions?
Yeah, I mean, we can bring a lot of that into it. We just know that it really comes down to us, believing in each other and stepping out together as a team. You don't want to bring too much into it. Um, it's just a matter of just fighting through and, kind of the old, Ted Lasso, a memory of a goldfish. If something doesn't go well early on or, turnovers, and maybe missed shots are part of any competition in any sport. So you just keep playing through and believing that good things are going to happen. We have missed shots, come up with big rides, created our own early offense opportunities. So just kind of keep creating. I know bringing into the idea of, this class not have beaten Loyola. I just think if we look as an opportunity to step on the field, knowing how tough Loyola is going to be and just playing all the way through.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Wags, anything else?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to ask about this winning streak. Loyola has won 88 regular season games in the Patriot League. They're now on a 56 straight game winning streak, both regular season and postseason. What has to happen within the Patriot League to stop this? I mean, I don't know if you get together with other Patriot League coaches, but do the other programs, because it can't just be Navy trying to carry the flag here.
Yeah.
I mean,
someone else. I think Army gave him a run last year. They've had a few scares. Yeah, I mean it's a unique. Loyola joined the conference, and just had this ability right away. Whether it's little extra things that like whether it's transfers or the fifth-year player, things that normally weren't part of the Patriot League, and that's great. I mean, that shows that can draw the excellence. I mean, Loyola's a big draw because of its location. They did beat Hopkins. They're kind of arch Baltimore rivals. So yeah, they have brought it with the level of athlete they've been able to really recruit at Loyola. It is their real, signature sport, with the men and the women, and certainly, having, Jen Adams at the helm has led the way. You get someone like Georgia Latches, an Australian. They brought another freshman Australian in this year. But they're since they've been the model of what it takes to excel. We have many wonderful coaches in our conference. Amanda Belichick at Holy Cross. Her team is, like on, just soaring this year. And, we're a wonderful coach at Army. So, yeah, I mean, Bill, I don't, they've had this moment and they may continue to have it, but it's exciting that for Navy and Loyola, it's the game. It's the game that everybody's looking forward to. So, that's what we're focusing in right now. And, I know how, and part of it is because how they've excelled, through all this time, not, being who they are. So.
Well, lastly, for me, you're coming off a very dominant victory at Bucknell. And you performed offensively and defensively and winning 17-6. How much confidence do you have coming off of that game?
Well, we saw Bucknell, we worry about any teams, particularly on the road. We had, scouted and studied their game. Bucknell played Boston University really close, an 8-10 loss for them. And, they bring a lot of key elements. They're, a couple key offensive players, solid goalkeeper. I think they really, really played us tough. I mean, maybe the end score didn't show that, but we were hyper focused. You just can't, and we just witnessed the week before when Bucknell men beat Colgate men, and then this past weekend they beat Lehigh right before we played Bucknell. So there was a lot of they're all jazzed up in the momentum since the men won and we were playing second. We had to be spot on. So we just want to play at the level we're capable of playing, and that's what we wanted being on the road this past weekend.
Thanks. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate you being here.
Scott, anything else from you?
Yeah, I'll finish off with one more. Iowa is the fourth top 15 team you played based on RPI this year. Does the previous 3 games, Virginia's 4, Virginia's 5, Florida's 6, and Harvard's 14. Do those games help you get ready for this game? It's not a shock to the system when you step on the field against Loyola that you've been there, and all 3 of those games went right down to the wire.
Yeah. It certainly does. And we've in every team brought a different element. Florida was playing us in a man-to-man defense. They switched to a zone. Virginia is zone all day. So there's, you don't really witness that a lot. Let's say in basketball, it's predominantly man, maybe a lot of help defense, different ways, but you're never like preparing for, the good old, Syracuse men's, zone in basketball. But so each team has mixed up their defenses, and we do the same. But those experiences help us to be prepared for a game like Loyola tomorrow. So definitely the Florida. Florida was a high intensity game, and Virginia was too. Those 2 games on the road were high intensity. So we would like to match that tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we will see you guys all next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
See y'all tomorrow, you mean?
Tomorrow.
All right. See you tomorrow.
All right.